How did a modest wool trader's son build the most luxurious clothing brand on earth? A brand so discreet, only billionaires, royals, and fashion insiders recognize it at first glance. Lauriana, the world's quietest status symbol, didn't rise on flashy logos or social media hype. Instead, it quietly stitched its way into the wardrobes of the global elite, from alpine slopes to courtroom headlines. This is not just the story of luxury, it's the story of a boy, a family legacy, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. And it all began in a small, fog-covered town nestled in northern Italy. The man behind the brand, Pierluigi Lauriana. Lauriana may now be synonymous with quiet luxury, but its roots stretch back to 1812. That was when the family first began trading wool in the small town of Trevero, Italy. For generations, the Lauriana family quietly honed their craft, supplying some of Europe's finest tailors with superior fabrics. But it was Pierluigi Lauriana who transformed this lineage into a name whispered with reverence in the world's most exclusive circles. Born into this legacy, Pierluigi grew up surrounded by textiles. Wool wasn't just fabric in his household, it was currency, heritage, and future. At just 18, he took on his first job, buying fabric from his own father to produce and sell ties. Unlike many heirs who chase rapid expansion, Pierluigi embraced the long game. He never wanted Lauriana to grow fast. Quality and conservation mattered more than scaling up. "You can't improve volume and quality at the same time," he often said. Under his guidance, the company stayed loyal to its principles, refining craftsmanship rather than compromising it. Pierluigi also pushed boundaries, not just in tailoring but in textiles. A friend once handed him a piece of lotus flower fiber from Japan. Most would have admired it and moved on. Pierluigi put it under a microscope. What he found was astonishing. It was the softest plant-based fiber in the world, measuring just 3 to 5 microns. For comparison, cashmere averages 14.5. This sparked a new obsession, one that would soon shape summer collections. Yet nothing captured his passion quite like vicuña wool. Revered by the Incas and once nearly extinct, the vicuña became central to his mission. He partnered with the Peruvian government to protect the species and create sustainable jobs in the Andes, while producing the softest, rarest wool on Earth. Pierluigi wasn't building a brand for everyone. He was crafting garments for those who appreciated restraint, ethics, and artistry. His values would shape every decision in the early days of the company's transformation, from a mill in the Alps to a global powerhouse. Early life and anecdotes. Pierluigi Lauriana grew up in the rolling hills of northern Italy, a region known for its crisp air, quiet villages, and a centuries-old connection to wool. In towns like Trevero and Lauriana, textile mills were as common as vineyards. Looms clattered behind stone walls, and wool merchants haggled over bales the way others might trade gold. For Pierluigi, this was everyday life. He didn't learn the business from books. He absorbed it from conversation, observation, and repetition. His childhood was filled with the smells of raw fleece, the buzz of spinning machines, and the patient hum of experts inspecting fabric by hand. His family expected him to learn, not be handed success. Summers were spent at the mill, not the beach. He swept factory floors, watched dyeing processes, and memorized the weight of different wools by touch. His education began long before university, but academia didn't go smoothly. While enrolled at university in Milan, Pierluigi was also working. He was buying fabric from his father to produce and sell ties. He enjoyed early success, but his grades slipped. If he wanted to succeed, he'd need to earn it on his own terms. So he finished his studies, not for a diploma on the wall, but to prove discipline. That moment sparked a lifelong commitment to long-term thinking. No shortcuts, no gambling with the brand's integrity. It also set the tone for how he'd lead the business one day, with grit, patience, and humility. His most formative lesson came from outside the family. Early in his career, he spent time with a French textile technician known for pushing young apprentices. One day, the mentor offered 6 words that stayed with Pierluigi for decades. La peur n'évite pas le danger. Fear doesn't prevent danger. The message was clear. Even when uncertain, you must act. That advice became a compass. Pierluigi would later take bold risks, like sourcing wool from nearly extinct animals or experimenting with unproven plant fibers, but never recklessly. He understood that true innovation meant moving forward, even through fear. These early experiences didn't just shape his career, they They built the mindset behind a brand that would soon redefine luxury, quietly. The next chapter would begin not with runway shows, but with a decision to step beyond fabric and into fashion. The birth of Loro Piana as a brand. For more than a century, the Loro Piana family had built its reputation behind the scenes. Their mills produced the finest wool and cashmere for top European tailors. But by the 1970s, Pierluigi and his brother Sergio saw a new opportunity to bring the fabric's story directly to the customer. It wasn't enough to supply excellence. They wanted to shape how it was worn. Thus began Loro Piana's transformation from a discreet textile supplier to a full-fledged fashion house. The launch of their luxury goods division marked a subtle but significant shift. They weren't aiming for flashy runways or celebrity endorsements. Instead, they introduced carefully tailored garments that spoke through craftsmanship. The idea was simple: let the fabric be the star. The brand's quiet evolution gathered speed in 1992. That year, Italy's Olympic equestrian team approached Loro Piana for something unique: a uniform that combined elegance, mobility, and protection from the elements. The result was the horsey jacket. Sleek but functional, refined yet weatherproof, it became an instant icon. For the first time, the world saw what Loro Piana's fabrics could do when shaped by their own hands. That moment changed everything. The success of the horsey jacket gave Pierluigi and Sergio the confidence to expand further. In 1993, they opened their first mono-brand boutique in Milan. It was tucked discreetly among the city's high-end storefronts. Unlike competitors with glitzy displays, Loro Piana's window was quiet. Inside, everything was hushed: muted tones, soft lighting, and a sense of permanence. There was no need to shout when the garments whispered luxury. They offered more than clothing. They offered consistency. Loro Piana coined the phrase "dressing from Monday to Monday," a philosophy that redefined luxury wear. Most high-end fashion catered to weekends, parties, or formal occasions, but Loro Piana envisioned garments that fit every moment of a modern professional's life. A soft cashmere pullover could be worn to work, to dinner, or on a flight. A storm system coat could transition from city to countryside without missing a beat. Every piece was designed to last, not just in construction, but in style. While trends changed around them, Loro Piana doubled down on timeless cuts and neutral palettes. The brand was not about being noticed. It was about being remembered. With this new direction, they began to cultivate a quiet, discerning clientele. These were not shoppers looking for logos. They were investors in quality, people who wanted to wear something for 30 years and still feel proud. The leap from cloth to clothing was bold, but carefully measured, and it worked. With fabric still at the heart of everything, Loro Piana had finally found its voice. Subtle, confident, and entirely its own. In the coming years, the brand wouldn't just grow. It would redefine the idea of luxury entirely, through steady expansion, unusual materials, and an unwavering belief in craftsmanship. The growth era, building the empire. As the 1990s turned into the 2000s, Loro Piana quietly accelerated. What began as a discreet Milan boutique had become the front-facing arm of a textile dynasty. But the true expansion didn't begin in showrooms. It began in the remote corners of the earth, with animals, altitude, and trust. Pierluigi Loro Piana understood that true luxury starts at the source. He wasn't interested in chasing trends, he was chasing purity. To do that, he forged long-term partnerships with herders across Mongolia, Peru, and Australia. These weren't corporate transactions, they were relationships. The company worked directly with shepherds and farmers, invested in their communities, and paid above-market prices to secure the softest, rarest fibers on earth. From the goats of Inner Mongolia came baby cashmere, a marvel of softness collected just once in a goat's life. Unlike standard cashmere, this underfleece is harvested from kids aged 3 to 12 months. It's finer, lighter, and almost impossibly soft, but it's also rare. To create a single sweater, the undercoats of multiple baby goats must be gently combed by hand. Pierluigi spent over a decade convincing local herders to separate this fiber and preserve its unique properties. The result? A material so soft it redefined what luxury could feel like. Then came the gift of kings, Loro Piana's name for the finest merino wool in existence. At just 12 microns, it is closer to silk than to traditional wool. The fiber is harvested from select sheep in New Zealand and Australia, raised under strict conditions to ensure ethical treatment and unmatched quality. This wasn't branding for the sake of it. It was precision farming turned into textile art. As the fabrics evolved, so did the product offerings. Lauriana began to move beyond clothing, expanding into home goods, accessories, and footwear. Cashmere blankets, vicuña scarves, loafers with non-marking white soles designed for yacht decks. Even belts and bags began appearing. Each one was subtly stitched with the brand's DNA, function, beauty, and endurance. These weren't just products. They were extensions of a lifestyle built on texture and restraint. Stores opened in New York, Paris, Tokyo, and Dubai, each one echoing the Milan flagship's minimalism. There were no giant billboards and no celebrity endorsements. Still, the right people noticed. The brand had entered the realm of if you know, you know. By 2013, that quiet appeal caught the attention of Bernard Arnault, CEO of LVMH. Arnault was already a personal fan of Lauriana. He wore it. So did his son Antoine. They didn't just admire the brand, they respected its values. LVMH acquired an 80% stake in Lauriana for over $2 billion, allowing the family to retain 20% and continue to guide the brand. Tragically, Sergio Lauriana passed away that same year, leaving Pierluigi alone as the figurehead of a new era. At first, nothing changed. Lauriana remained proudly understated, but in the years that followed, shifts began to emerge. As social media redefined fashion, something unexpected happened. Quiet luxury became a trend. Billionaires and tech moguls, especially from Silicon Valley, flocked to Lauriana not for what it advertised, but for what it didn't. On screen, the brand's global visibility surged when HBO's Succession debuted. The show's lead character, Kendall Roy, dressed almost exclusively in Lauriana. Viewers noticed. Fashion insiders began decoding his wardrobe, identifying every coat, cap, and sneaker. Suddenly, the brand became a symbol of wealth you had to understand to recognize. LVMH seized the moment. Antoine Arnault, now a key figure at the brand, began steering its public image more intentionally. At the same time, Damien Bertrand, appointed CEO, introduced a refined strategy. Bertrand believed Lauriana could evolve without losing its soul. Under his leadership, product development accelerated, particularly in leather goods and women's collections. New campaigns appeared. Documentaries highlighted their ethical sourcing. Boutique locations expanded into newer markets. And yet, amid all this growth, the core values remained. The animals were still sheared by hand. The herders were still paid fairly. The fabrics still passed through skilled Italian hands. The logo remained minimal, almost absent. As the brand stepped into a broader spotlight, the question emerged. Could Lauriana continue to scale without compromising its identity? The answer would depend not just on its past, but on how it planned to evolve in a world that no longer whispers about luxury, but shouts. The next chapter would test that balance. Lauriana today, figures and facts. Today, Lauriana stands as a global benchmark for luxury that doesn't need to announce itself. With over 130 boutiques across the world, from Milan and New York to Seoul, Paris, and Dubai, the brand's presence is undeniable. Every storefront reflects the same quiet aesthetic, soft lighting, earthy palettes, and a deliberate calm that feels more like a private club than a retail space. Behind these serene facades lies a booming business. Lauriana now generates well over €1 billion in annual revenue. Yet, unlike most luxury brands, this growth hasn't come from mass marketing or constant product turnover. It's driven by consistency, exclusivity, and the unique value of what they offer. Their products don't change with the season. They evolve slowly, anchored in timelessness rather than trend. And those products come at a price. A classic Lauriana cashmere sweater sells for around $2,500. Their vicuña coats, made from wool so fine it was once reserved for ink and royalty, often start at $10,000 and can climb much higher depending on the cut and lining. Even their basic t-shirts, if you can call them that, made from the gift of king's wool, retail at approximately $1,600 each. For most, it's unthinkable. For those who know, it's essential. Much of the cost is justified by what lies beneath the surface. The materials are often unavailable anywhere else. Lauriana's baby cashmere remains one of the brand's softest and most exclusive offerings. Storm System wool combines natural fibers with a breathable, waterproof membrane, turning elegant outerwear into high-performance gear. And then there's lotus flower fiber, a rare, hand-harvested material used in only a handful of pieces. It's crease-resistant, whisper-light, and softer than linen. Most fashion houses wouldn't dare invest in it. Lauriana not only uses it, they engineered it into summer jackets that feel like air. Signature products have also emerged. The Summer Walk Loafer, designed with a white non-marking sole, was originally made for yacht owners who didn't want scuffs on teak decks. Now it's a mainstay in tech circles. Then there's the Extra Pocket Bag, a sleek, understated carry-all with hidden compartments and a minimalist silhouette. It's crafted not just for fashion, but for functionality. Those who carry it often do so daily. What sets Lauriana apart from many luxury brands is its full control of the production chain. This is vertical integration at its most extreme. The company doesn't just design and sell. It sources the wool, funds the farms, manages the transportation, weaves the fabric, oversees the finishing, and finally crafts the garment. From goat to garment, every step is watched, measured, and perfected. No outsourcing, no shortcuts. This obsessive attention to detail is what makes the difference. To wear Lauriana is to feel the result of 1,000 quiet decisions. As demand grows, particularly among younger buyers drawn to quiet luxury, the challenge is balancing scale with scarcity. Can a brand remain exclusive when its name appears on Instagram more than in private clubs? So far, Lauriana has managed that balance with care, introducing slightly more visible touches, like a subtle logo on a sneaker tongue or a new bag with embossed branding. But it always stops short of loudness. Even as it expands, Lauriana remains deeply rooted in its core philosophy. Luxury is not about being seen, it's about being felt. Lauriana's next chapter won't be written in neon. It will be stitched in quiet details, subtle evolution, and the continued belief that true luxury isn't about being seen by everyone. It's about being understood by a few. Have you ever owned or worn a Lauriana item? Share your experiences with us in the comments. We'd love to hear. For now, we're done. Catch you in the next video.